Oh, items. Every game you play is riddled with them. FPS? Items. RTS? Items. Grand strategy? Better believe there are some items. No genre is more saturated with items than RPGs. I'm sick of it. Sick of comparing stats on 600 inventory items. Look at the state of my Twink Box in Grim Dawn. This is far too many items. Even my beloved Morrowind isn't free from the great scourge of itemization. Magic items, armor, potions, scrolls, random pipes and bowls, just stuff. I wish to embrace a minimalist lifestyle, living as a monk on a mountain somewhere, naked and enlightened. We must make some concessions to the devil of itemization, though, to live our lives, and much like a priest, we're going to allow just a little bit of vice in. Today I will answer the question, can you beat Morrowind with only a single item slot? I'm gonna come straight out and say that I knew a few things going into this run which were going to be major issues. For one, you need to hold both Wraithguard and the tools to defeat Dagoth Ur, the god. Second, gold takes up an inventory slot in Morrowind, rather than being tracked as a separate statistic like in Oblivion or Skyrim. Third, the only way this was going to be remotely possible is if I played as a mage. So, let's get into it. Starting out in the mystical and racist land of the American Deep South, we had to make a character. Jib apparently had been on a ship with me and no other prisoners for days and failed to ever ask me my name, rude ass. I decided to play a Breton to get the extra mana and the resistances. Why not play a High Elf? Well, if you've ever played a High Elf in Morrowind, you would know that they have glass bones, a paper skin, and their blood is nitroglycerin. They tend to detonate in a flash visible from fucking orbit the moment a late-game enemy so much as sneezes on them. Bretons are much safer as a mage pick in more or less every case due to that magic resistance. I went with a female Breton because they have a slightly better stat spread in my opinion. Female characters in general have a better stat mix in Morrowind for whatever reason, but literally 2 well-optimized level ups are all that stands between a male character and a female one, so it really doesn't matter after the first hour or so, but I made the decision. For my class, I went with unarmored for obvious reasons, and a mix of skills that I thought would be helpful. Not tagging endurance as a favorite attribute would come back to bite me in the ass later, but whatever. Willpower was chosen because it boosts your chance to successfully cast spells, and intelligence is just good for having extra magic juice. I figured this would be more valuable early on than hit points, and I chose wrong. After getting access to my inventory menu, we run into the first rules clarification of the run. There are going to be a few times in this run where I technically have 2 or more items in my inventory at a given time. Whenever this happens, I'll stand still and immediately drop items until I am back down to just having a single item. I'll never move or fight with more than 1 item. If you want to comment on how technically this fails the run repeatedly throughout, that's cool. I love comments and I'll try to get back to you with something suitably sarcastic. Hell, leave one every time I do it, see if I care. After leaving this first building, we run into what I thought for a moment was going to be a major pain in my ass. See, I need to give my papers to the captain. The game also forces you to pick up Fargoth's ring to unlock your magic menu. No big deal, I can just drop the papers, pick up the ring to trigger the magic menu, then drop the ring, pick back up the papers, and go through the door. Apparently, and I've never noticed this, you are literally required to have the ring in your inventory for this door to open. I was terrified for a second that I was going to have to glitch out of here, which is possible but massively sucks. You just have to grind like 50 levels of acrobatics. But it turns out you can just go through the door with the ring, drop the ring, go back through the door, pick back up your papers, and then continue on as normal. Thank God, because I really didn't want to spam jump a few hundred times up against one of these walls. At this part of the run, I was still planning on doing the whole main quest and all of the quests within it, which presented an immediate issue. Normally, you just buy a Silt Strider to Balmora and then give the shirtless crackhead your package, but unfortunately, as mentioned, gold takes up an item slot in Morrowind. So I had to walk to Balmora with the package, dropping my release fee on the spot because I'm too much of a bad bitch to take government handouts. This is where the first major problem with the run started, which was everyone constantly yelling at me for being naked and ugly. I've never seen most of these naked lines, but let me tell you, there are not nearly as many of them as you would think, and they quickly get incredibly grating, even if they are really, really funny the first couple of times. I got lost a bit on my way to Balmora. In my defense, it has been a while since I actually bothered to walk there from said Unique. Nothing else worth noting happened on the way to town, just a couple of rats and mud crabs getting air fried by my magical thingies. I like to imagine that touch spells are just like little slaps, 2 wizards getting in a duel, but it's just a magically assisted slap fight. Maybe tickles. Caius insults me as I go to turn in the package, God I miss old Corky, and gives me some money to fuck off and buy clothing. Little does he know that I have zero urge to cover up this temple of physical perfection. The Mages Guild proves slightly more welcoming, only Galbadir has anything to say before I join, as Sturdelin has clearly interacted with nudists before.
How interesting. Aren't you a sight?
And I'm able to grab some weak spells for training and later use. I do the old guild joining shuffle to sell a bunch of random free guild crap to Ajira, grabbing Ondusi's open door and a couple of other spells. Around this point, I had the realization that the main quest had literally nothing that was going to help me in the long run. I couldn't use Wraithguard because I would need to carry 2 items at the same time, obviously. And the main quest mostly pays out in items and gold, which I either can't use or I can get more of in other places. One of the coolest parts of Morrowind is that it is fully possible to beat this game without doing the main quest or a damn thing relating to it even. There's the so-called backpath, which is decently well known as a standard alternative option to the main quest if you don't want to do it for whatever reason. There are non-standard methods to complete the game though, and I made the decision here to do the second or third most obtuse. For this route, I knew I was going to need a metric shit ton of money, so I ran off to everyone's favorite cave. For those who don't know, this random cave near Balmora is actually a long-lost and super cool ebony mine that has infinite economic value. How it was never found literally across the river from a major mining operation, I have no fucking idea. Upon peeking my little head in for about 3 frames, I know that this is, in fact, the super cool lost ebony mine, and the ghost of previous Nerevarines flows into me to tell me to be gay and do crimes, and also to give it to Mr. Mysterio in his hidden fuck mansion so that'll give me a sick-ass katana I can pawn for performance-enhancing drugs. I need to get to Vivec though, and that costs money. I'll also need money to get back with the cool katana. If you're already seeing a problem, you're smarter than I was. I happen to know where a valuable bit of pokey stabby stabby is in Balmora though, and like the most powerful meth addict in all of Missouri, I wander aimlessly through the local police stations until I identify the correct one. There's a sword called the Sword of White Woe in one of the town's guard towers, the one next to our dealer's house. This sword can genuinely get you through most of the game if you're a long blade build, but I just want it because it's worth a lot of money. Stealing it's a bit annoying because of the guard standing right next to it, but stealth and stealing in Morrowind is broke as shit. I'm able to turn him around to look away from the sword, then I hide behind a pole and use the power of my stand to freeze time and grab it while I'm in the inventory menu. All Dunmer lack object permanence, so I can just walk out with this sword that's worth more than an entire mansion in Cyrodiil. This guard is getting fired. I am starting to go completely fucking feral at all the NPCs telling me to cover up the perfection of my body at this point. I pawn off my soul and sword to Wayne at the Fighters Guild because he has a pretty high amount of money for a merchant this early in the game. I then head off to the temple to get some spells from the filthy basement-dwelling priests, specifically Mark and Recall and False God Intervention. I also did grab some other unimportant shit because I thought it would come in handy. It didn't. With that done, I headed off to Vivec, forgetting to do several important things. I got almost all the way to the fuck mansion before remembering, oh wait, I forgot to place a mark. Gold takes a slot. The katana takes a slot. If I pick up this sword, I won't be able to get it back to a merchant. I decided to mark Creeper, one of the game's 2 Easter egg merchants that buy items for full price. As I do that, this half-naked orc woman is a fucking hypocrite.
Oh, put that away.
No, you put it away. I am fully naked and you're wearing a shirt and boots with nothing else. In my opinion, paradoxically, it is somehow more naked to be wearing a shirt and boots than being, like, fully naked. Being pure naked could be an accident, and it's the natural form of man, after all. Being naked, except for a couple pieces of clothing like that, is unnatural. Humans aren't born with boots. Maybe orcs are. Things get weird with elves. By the way, you can just rob the orcs in here. They aren't narcs and they're probably living in a massive polycule/commune, so you can just take shit from them and they don't care. Pretty based. I sell a bunch of their crap to Creeper to stock up on cash, and then go get the cool katana. I also nearly reflexively steal the alchemy stuff from the Caldera Mages Guild out of pure muscle memory. Before grabbing said katana, I make a pit stop in Balmora for reasons I have genuinely forgotten. I get jumped by an assassin who's a bit annoying to kill here. I end up having to back out to heal, but a few touch spells do him in. I never got around to dealing with the Dark Brotherhood during this playthrough, and you can see what that leads to later. With my random diversion into Balmora done, I head back to Caldera, mark Creeper, and go get my cool katana. Dram Barrow kindly gives me a cool demon Edgeboy sword for the location of this super secret mine right across the bridge from a major mining operation that is evidently staffed entirely by the blind and unadventuresome. Recalling back to Creeper, I drop the sword and pick up all my cash money. I have a plan to make a lot of money, but it'll take longer to do it with creepers, so I choose to spend my money on a bunch of spells. I also make a set of easy to cast spells to train up my magic skills. Spoiler alert, I completely forgot to use them for the entire playthrough. To fulfill the first part of my plan to make a ton of money, I break into a side room in the Aldrin Fighters Guild. I'm gonna need the glass armor stuffed to the bottom of this bed for the mudcrab shuffle. I also take a nap and get jumped by the Dark Brotherhood again. I don't want to move this glass armor long distances, so it stays here for the time being. If it's annoying to bring valuables to the merchant, well, I'll bring the merchant to the valuables. Enter Mudcrab. Mudcrab is a merchant with 10,000 gold for some fucking reason, on an island in the middle of nowhere, drunk off his ass. Without being able to carry multiple items at a time, it's going to be a royal fucking pain to get to Mudcrab with all the stuff I want to sell him. I need Command Humanoid, Frenzy Humanoid, and Command Creature. These spells will end up being the key to the whole run, but also the bane of my fucking existence by the end of this. Command Humanoid is easy. Some random mage in Alderaan sells it. Frenzy Humanoid is easily bought from the Mages Guild in Sadrith Mora. On the way there, I accidentally try to sleep in Tenar Lurvi's bed in the Aldrin Mages Guild, and she expels me from the guild on the spot, forcing me to reload a save. Remember this woman, she's one of my new fucking arch enemies. I start trying to move her at this point for some reason. I genuinely have no clue why. I'll be back for her later. I have some misadventures getting Command Creature. Only this one asshole in Tel Brenora sells it, and I forgot to bring a Levitate spell I can actually cast to get to his stupid ass. I end up just drinking a Levitate potion straight off the shelf downstairs and then booking it up to him before it wears off. I ended up having to do this twice because I accidentally pickpocketed him, like an idiot. The second time, some of them see me drink the potion, but whatever. I got away from them after drinking it, so according to their own philosophy, they didn't deserve the potion. Telvanni are just like that, anarcho-capitalism. Woo. Guess what? I don't have enough money to buy the spell. I fucking hate it here. I go get extra money, buy a Levitate spell I can actually use, come back, and finally have all the spells I will need. That took a full 50 minutes of my life, and it is purely my own fucking fault. The process begins now. See, when you command an NPC, they will follow you through doors, and fast travel. Knowing this, I can bring Mudcrab, the best merchant in the game, to a more convenient location for me to sell all this random bullshit I'm planning on selling. I start the long, tedious process of moving the Caldera Mages Guild fast travel NPC to Mudcrab. To do this, you need to command the NPC through any doors and use Frenzy to get them to chase you between the doors. Aside from her wigging out on the stairs at one point, I'm able to get her out of Vivek and over to Moloch Mara without too much difficulty. Just remember that NPCs stop chasing you correctly over terrain sometimes, at random. It'll be important later. Unsubtle foreshadowing aside, I'm able to get her to Mudcrab without too many problems. At one point, a skeleton decides that my innards would look better as outards and gets me gutted like an animal a half dozen times before I can kill him. Gonna have to do something about my weak-ass defenses. Once I get to my favorite drunk crab, I make sure I have a spell to move him, and I take him and Amelia Daronia here back to Alderaan. After a bit of misadventure, I get Amelia back where she belongs and begin the great Mudcrab shuffle to sell all my bullshit to him. To cut a long item shuffling montage short, I'm left with 115,000 gold after selling all these items to the crab boy. I proceed to spend the next full hour training in Balmora and other places around the map. The only notable events during this whole montage are multiple Dark Brotherhood attacks and me moving Mudcrab to Balmora, only for him to randomly fucking despawn. I have no clue what happened to him. I went to sell him an ebony dart and he was just gone. Not a big deal, but I'll have to use other merchants if I want to make more money later in the run. During this montage, I also make a few spells to help me out in the back half of the run, a couple of damaging spells, a heal over time spell, and some other ones that I thought would be useful. I really should have made an absorb health spell and a weakness to magic spell. I ended up having some serious issues with reflect and resistances later on, and it really would have helped. At the end of all of this training, I'm level 20 and have the following stat spread: 101 health, 200 magicka, 224 fatigue, 32 strength, 100 intelligence, 97 willpower, 30 agility, 88 speed, 65 endurance, 50 personality so people will stop being so fucking mean, and 57 luck for fun. Most of my relevant skills are high, though not maxed, and I'm fully ready to take on Dagoth Ur, the god. At least, I thought I was. This is the beginning of some of the most torturous Morrowind gameplay that I have ever endured, and I had no idea that things were gonna get so bad. One of my first decisions was to go get the Robe of White Woe from the Blood Moon DLC. For those unaware, this is a massively overpowered item for any mage build, and as I was pretty much done with money for the rest of the game, I decided to grab it to fill our item slot. This is probably the second most powerful single item we could grab at this point, and the most powerful item, the Royal Signet Ring, would require me to beat most of the Tribunal DLC, and I really can't be bothered. In hindsight, I should have done that because the Dark Brotherhood started becoming a serious annoyance at this point. They started spawning in with in-game weapons due to my higher level, and they would kill me in seconds if I didn't book it immediately. I may have trained my body into a lethal weapon, but I'm still very nakey and I bruise easy. Man, I hate all the fucking enemies on Solstheim. Everywhere I go, I just am getting jumped by 50 of these assholes. Getting the robe is easy. Just ask this old dude what happened to his son Timmy, and he'll give you the key to the village well. Timmy has found a cool robe and gotten some severe delusions of grandeur, summoning a ton of skeletons because fuck the state. I can respect that. I dodge past all of his skeleton buddies, and with a quick reminder that he, in fact, still has a dad, leads to him giving me the robe and presumably settling down to a quiet life of snow farming and rock fucking on this godforsaken island. Recalling back to the mainland, I intervention to Nissus and begin running towards Red Mountain, dead set on killing Dagoth Ur, the god. I felt I was as prepared as I could be, and my descent into total fucking cyclopean madness began here. Alright, first up I gotta get to Dagoth Ur, the building. My plan at this point was to get the building cleared out completely, and then I could just grab Sunder and Keening, walk them back, and then go into the Heart Chamber and finish the game. Yeah, we're just doing this without Wraithguard. I'm gonna raw dog the damage. Sunder and Keening do a hit to you every second that they're held, and there's no way to cheese this duration. Every cumulative second, you will take the hit. I have more than 100 health, which I thought meant that I would be able to tank a single hit from the damage of either Sunder or Keening, allowing me to just drop them periodically, heal up, and finish the game without needing godly assistance at all. I was remembering that the damage capped at 85 for some fucking reason, but it caps at 125. If you remembered that off the top of your head when I started talking, you are smarter than I was. There is another glaring major issue with this plan, but we'll get there when we get there. None of the Ash weirdos are particularly difficult for me to kill. Most of them have weak reflect chances and are easily strafed to death while my spells cook them. That said, every time I do get reflected on, it does kill me very quickly. This is also around when the Dark Brotherhood assassins started spawning in pairs. I've never seen this happen before, but needless to say, the appearance of two assholes with Daedric weapons 3 inches from my asshole every time I sleep started to seriously fray at my fucking sanity. The real issue is the fucking Daedra, though. Daedroths have a tactical fucking nuke as a spell that just obliterates me before I can react most of the time. And Hungers, well, Hungers are right motherfuckers, and I hate them. You see, they resist all magic and can paralyze me. Needless to say, my naked and exposed ass dies within seconds every time I get paralyzed. They only show up as random spawns here though, so surely it won't be that big of a problem, right? Weirdly, the Ascended Sleepers are easier to deal with than their minions. Bad scaling, it happens like that. I stop in at Veminol real quick to kill Dagoth Vemin to deprive Dagoth Ur of his plumber. Skelleboner the Grand distracts while I smash him up with frostballs from the upper floor, like a coward. I set Sunder on the floor in case the body despawns, and I mark the location for later. I'm off to Dagoth Ur, the building. God, watching this footage back is just filling me with a potent sense of dread and mild PTSD. I thought things were going to be so simple and so easy. I dodge past the Daedra at the entrance to Dagoth Ur, the building, forgetting where the lever to open the door was for like 3 straight minutes. Unfortunately, I'm more or less out of wizard juice and end up trying to punch the first noodle snoot to death. I would like to thank JustBackgroundNoise for that nickname. It lives in the back of my fucking brain all the goddamn time when I play this game now. He cleans my clock for a while because my hand-to-hand isn't that high. Eventually, I just reload the game, get luckier on a damage roll from a spell, and kill him that way. I also level up, which is nice. I end up summoning a ghost and Skelleboner quite a lot while clearing out Dagoth Ur, the building. They act as a good distraction while I'm running around like an asshole waiting for spells to do their damage. I end up running past a few enemies, which I will need to deal with later, but at the time I thought I could just juke past them on my way back. The Dark Brotherhood brothers spawn like 6 times while I'm clearing things out. I also forgot that I had the Fargoth Ur, the god, mod installed, and it scares the fuck out of me here. Fargoth Ur, the god, goes down like a complete punk within seconds of the fight starting. He just couldn't handle the neutron style. I recall back to Sunder and make my way back into Dagoth Ur, the building, carrying Sunder. I had to leave the mantle behind in Dagoth Ur, the building, but getting the hammer back to the Heart Chamber wasn't too bad. Man, the final dungeon in Morrowind is kinda lame. It just lacks challenge and lacks a decent layout. It's basically a straight line to the end of the game. Kind of a bummer. Once I make it back to the Heart Chamber, I have a horrible, horrible realization. No recall or intervention will work in this place. I can't leave once I open this door. Oh god. I need to make 2 trips. One for Sunder, one for Keening. I need to get both items through the store at the same time. I only have 1 item slot. How the fuck am I supposed to do this? I'm sad to say, but unfortunately, you cannot beat Morrowind with I'm fucking with you. I really wish I could have just called it there, but I do know a way to get both items through this door. It is the most horrible, unpleasant, and haggard fucking way to do it, but it will be possible for me to get both items through this door with only one inventory slot. Viewer discretion is advised. The next hour of my fucking life is genuinely the worst thing I have ever had to do playing Morrowind. This sucked so fucking hard. So, how do we get both items through this door? Well, when you sell items to merchants, they put them in their inventory, and as we saw earlier, we can get NPCs to follow us through loading zones. I need to get a merchant to chase me, lead them all the way through Red Mountain on fucking foot, and then bring them through the entire dungeon of Dagoth Ur, the building, into the heart chamber, and then I need to kill them to extract Sunder and Keening from their corpse. I fucking hate it here. To make things worse, my command humanoid spell can only command humanoids up to a specific level, and I stubbornly refuse to go rustle up more money to make a new one for some fucking reason. This left me with a few options. The first one I tried was Tanar Lurvi, the enchanter in Aldrun. She was level 7, the same level as my command spell, and seemed like a decent option. However, the moment I frenzy her, she reveals that her level 7 ass knows how to summon a fucking Daedroth and has her own high-end destruction spells. And after many attempts, I am never even able to get her through the front door of the fucking Mages Guild without one of the two of them nuking me from fucking orbit. I decide to find a different level 7 NPC who will buy Sunder and Keening. Ereso, not Urso, just Ereso. You know, Ereso Drath. At the Aldrun Temple is low enough level and buys the right things, so she's my next target and the bane of my fucking existence. I hate this elf woman more than is honestly reasonable. She does know a few spells, but nothing nearly on the same scale as Tanar Lurvi. She can't summon a Daedroth, and she just has less wizard juice than Tanar Lurvi did. I managed to get her outside after she pulls out a massive fucking hammer and begins chasing me. Welcome to Hell, otherwise known as Red Mountain. See, we can't take her over the Great Ghost Wall, so we have to walk to Ghost Gate with her. I have some issues getting her through the gate itself, but after managing that, the real CBT can begin. Problem 1. There are a lot of enemies in Red Mountain, and I can't kill even close to all of them due to my lack of weaponry and limited wizard juice. I was terrified that if I calmed her down so I could rest, she would either despawn like Mudcrab did earlier, or some random ash monster would kill her. In addition, a lot of the easy paths into Red Mountain require levitation, and this little asshole can't levitate, so I'm forced to take the long way around the entire fucking zone. Shortly into this odyssey, a hunger aggro's on me. This one fucking hunger probably took a year off of my life from sheer rage. I kept getting paralyzed, but it was faster than Ereso was, and I was worried that if I ran too far away from her to lose this thing, she would despawn or die or something. Enjoy this montage of me getting massacred by this one fucking hunger. Then, I reached the bridge. This bridge, for some fucking reason, messes with NPC pathfinding. They become convinced that you are out of their reach as you move across it, and the only way to prevent this is to be extremely close to them, or to trick them into running away from you across the bridge that they think they can't cross. Also, the hunger is still fucking here, and it's still fucking spiking my blood pressure. I can't even kill it because it has complete immunity to all my spells because I am an idiot. This one hunger killed me 11 times as I tried to get this loser enchanter to follow me across the bridge. I also kept not saving for some reason after I killed the other chaff, and so I had to keep reloading to deal with them while playing keep away from this fucking hunger, who would instantly use the penis destruction technique and kill me instantly if I spited him. I eventually managed to get Ereso alone on the bridge. I tricked her into running over the trigger where she can't chase me for some reason, and it works. I am, however, out of magical wizard crack in the middle of the shit mountains around Dagoth Ur, the building, and I can't rest. I end up sliding down into the caldera, not to be mistaken with Caldera, the town, the caldera of the volcano, and the two Daedroth that I left at the entrance tag team me and kill me instantly, exploding my fucking liver with their massive poison balls. I am then treated to a Fargoth loading screen, sending me into a several minute long laughing fit. After a few more minutes of trial and error, I managed to get her to follow me down into the crater, only to get paralyzed by a hunger and die as I crank that soldier boy. She is much less cooperative on my next attempt, and it takes me fucking forever to get her into the pit again. I am then killed by cliff racers. I then managed to get her into the pit again, not to be confused with the pit, you know, Pittsburgh. I mean, the pit, the Dagoth Ur, the volcano. I then forgot to save the game, got obliterated by a Daedroth, and have to do it again. At this point, I am actively losing my mind. I have no fatigue, no wizard liquid, and very little health. I die, then get her onto the building, trip off the building, and paralyzed and die. Next time she managed to kill me herself with her big fucking hammer. Even more often than dying, I end up locked because she gets stuck on some terrain and refuses to follow me into the pit. Eventually, I get a save with both of us standing on the Dwemer building above Dagoth Ur, the volcano caldera, the pit. I really want to rest to get some mana and some options opened up, so I spend several deaths trying to juke the Daedroths and Hungers long enough to turn the crank to get inside, where I can take just a small sleep. This takes 10 minutes of attempts. I finally get inside after looping the Daedra like I'm playing fucking Dead by Daylight again, and I am finally able to save, recuperate, and rest to get back my resources. There is an Ash Slave at the door though, so I end up having to run to the end of the dungeon to rest, after which I actually for real clear the whole dungeon, no shortcuts, no one lives. I step back outside into Daedric shitstomp hell, die a bunch, but to cut a long story short, I am finally able to fucking get this miserable fucking asshole of an NPC into Dagoth Ur with me. Holy god, that was the worst thing I've ever had to do in this game. As you can tell by my relieved key smashing as I save my game here. Leading her through the rest of the dungeon is a complete breeze in comparison, and I finally get her to the outside of the heart chamber. Holy shit. I really hope I never have to do that again. At this point, I ran back to get Keening, the other tool. This was much easier than getting Sunder because I didn't even have to kill anything too important to get to it. It was just behind an honestly kind of pathetic locked door. I did kill a Golden Saint and Dagoth Ur though, for the hell of it. Good thing I killed Dagoth Ur though. He is Dagoth Ur, the god's accountant, and that should maybe financially ruin him before I blow up the heart, which will help. Okay. Thank God, she will buy the items, and if I kill her, they are in fact on her corpse. I will take her into the heart chamber, and, well, let's let this play.
What a fool you are! I'm a god! How can you kill a god? What a grand and intoxicating innocence! How could you be so naive? There is no escape. No recall or intervention can work in this place. Come, lay down your weapons. It is not too late for my mercy.
Yeah, Dagoth Ur, the god, punks her immediately. I'd also forgotten how fucking funny that mod was. This is where I discovered that the max hit roll on Sunder and Keening was in fact 125, not 85 like I remembered. Oh well. I needed to get a low roll on every hit from Sunder or Keening, which meant a lot of bopping the heart, healing, saving, and repeating as I died over and over again. I also needed to rest to get my magic juice back at one point, so I lured Dagoth Ur, the god, off into the lava, and then fought the true final boss, this random dreamer. See, the only weapon I had access to was the warhammer that the enchanter had on her body, so I had to use my 5 blunt skill and that hammer to beat him to death. In hindsight, I did have 50 hand-to-hand and probably would have won faster that way, but I was so excited to get to hit something with a weapon for the first time this playthrough that I just let it rip. The fight took ages and it would have been a lot easier if I had prepared at all. I used some of the scrolls that Areso had on her to buff myself up to try and help. It didn't. This fight took forever. I eventually remembered that I had Conjuration, so I summoned a Bound Dagger, which buffed my short blade skill enough to hit him occasionally. This is when the true strat revealed itself. Yeah, I just lured him into the lava. I felt dumb as hell for trying to hit him with a hammer for 7 minutes instead of just doing this earlier. I then tried to rest. The 2 Dark Brotherhood goons somehow fucking tracked me down into the heart chamber of Dagoth Ur, the building, through a sealed door, and I, eventually, finally, managed to sleep. So Daddy Dagoth respawns when you rest in the heart chamber, apparently? Good to know, really obscure mechanic there. I got a low roll from Sunder, healed, lured Goonbo McGee off into the lava again with some effort, and went back up for Keening. After quite a few stupid deaths to Keening high rolls, I finally managed to smack the heart around enough for it to explode, proving that yes, you can, in fact, more or less, beat Morrowind with only 1 item slot. As long as you skip most of the main quest, lure an NPC into the caldera of Dagoth Ur, the volcano, and simply giga-chad your way through the mortal damage that the tools of creation itself inflict on you by saying nuh-uh. I am never doing this again in Morrowind. If you have any ideas or suggestions for other challenge runs for this game or any other Bethesda game, let me know. I might do some sort of challenge in a strategy game next, though I'll think about it. I need a good long break from Morrowind after this. If you're still watching, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe and comment YouTuber shit. It gives me a potent and frankly unhealthy shot of dopamine every time I get to read a new comment. So please, feed my addiction. I need the crack. I also have a Patreon linked below if you have extra money. I'm dead the fuck broke and I ain't too proud to say it, so if you have surplus, I'd appreciate it. This next part is for returning viewers, so the rest of you enjoy this footage of the in-game cutscene and me getting my revenge on Tanar Lurvy. So, where have I been? Well, I got badly sick twice, had a death in the family, and generally have had a stress and madness-inducing few months. I did a game jam to build up some skills for Mud and Rust in the long term, and I plan on doing more of those. Turns out there's a lot that needs to be done to bring a project like that to life, so I'm gonna put it on the back burner and try to gain some more skills and experience while chipping away at it. I'm back in the swing of things on YouTube now, hopefully, and I decided to do this because I love Morrowind, and the last time I did a challenge run, the Fargoth run that I streamed over on Twitch, I really enjoyed it. I was also badly ill at the time and needed the dopamine of playing the funny elf game. I was inspired by this RuneScape thumbnail I saw, even though I never got around to watching the video. Despite my whining towards the end, recording this was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed making the video too. My content is still in a state of flux and experimentation as I figure out exactly where I want to take the Dos Bueno media conglomerate in the long run. This video is a bit easier to make and a lot easier to script than the big retrospectives and reviews. I do intend to finish that Morrowind retrospective, but I need to develop some better editing and writing skills so I can do the next video, which is about the Tribunal and Dagoth Ur proper justice. I'll maybe do a few more challenge-type videos, and if I end up enjoying them, I'll keep doing that. I do have an idea for the next video, and the one after that, one of which being Stolen from an Irishman. I also want to do a non-Bethesda game, maybe Fable, MechWarrior 4, Mountain Blade game, strategy game of some sort. I'm open to any suggestion if you have it for any interesting game. Something from the early 2000s, probably. It'd be interesting. I really appreciate everyone who's still listening and being a regular viewer. Y'all are fucking great, and you have the patience of saints. Have a great night.